I want to know what you think about this interesting paranormal video posted by Darkalooz. First, two pieces of his overhead vent fall off, but when it happens, the camera freezes. So is this an electronic interference from spirits, or is it poor editing? Next, this chair turns all by itself. It's by a window and behind a table, and therefore far out of reach. Perhaps eeriest of all are these two legs with no upper reflection. You would logically assume this is Darkalooz recording, but if it was, as one commenter points out, then where is the rest of him? A man draws suspicion when he holds his phone a little too high while looking away. When he does look at his phone, he appears to be in deep concentration. Little does he know the window behind him reflects his screen, betraying him and telling the whole story to anyone quick enough to notice. Look to the right and you'll see the blurry image of a woman sitting. He is obviously recording the female passenger for whatever reason, who is secretly recording him in return. This continues for well over a minute. He is looking straight at his screen, and there's no possible way he doesn't know the camera is on. The idea of watching someone through your phone is beyond creepy. And if he was recording a video, who knows how many times he watched it later in his free time. This aerial footage was broadcast live during a period of bad weather in Hebron, Ohio. Take a look at this flooded neighborhood and tell me if you see anything abnormal lurking in the dirty brown water.
Here with storm specialist Carl Parker. So if you want to stay on and have a listen, Carl's been looking at
A worm-like creature appears to wind its way around a house shortly before the camera zooms out. While this could be an ordinary piece of driftwood from the way it's moving in the water, I wouldn't be surprised if the floodwaters caused some sort of giant parasite to emerge from the sewers below. Ignorance is bliss, and sometimes it's best that certain things remain invisible to the human eye. Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Miss Doolittle Tex. This video was taken at the haunted Queen Anne Hotel in San Francisco. Originally posted on YouTube in March of 2020, Tex writes, I have been listening to creepy stories and been watching YouTube videos about ghost investigations and experiences since they existed, which resulted in me paying more attention to my surroundings, heightening my awareness. The Queen Anne Hotel has some history. Located on Sutter Street in San Francisco, initially built as a girls' boarding school, the Queen Anne Hotel is said to be haunted by the former headmistress, Mary Lake. Her office at room 410 is believed to be the most haunted room in the building. The uploader of the video booked this room to stay in overnight. In preparation for the stay, she bought a FLIR thermal cam for her iPhone. She duly notes that the hotel is charming as heck, and she didn't feel anything particularly unsettling while there. That is, until she thermal cammed room 410. She tested out her thermal cam on her husband, on electrical sockets, water lines, and other hot and cold spots. Then she entered the bathroom. Pointing her thermal cam towards the half-closed shower curtain, she started to see a figure in the thermal footage next to her that she believed appeared from behind the curtain. As you can see, there is her own thermal image in its reflection, and not too far away right beside it, another full-sized figure. Could it be headmistress Mary Lake herself? When going through pictures she took of the room, the uploader also discovered this creepy face in the wallpaper. Do you see it? It's almost like the room is watching you. Number 15. Stalkers. Welcome to the inner workings of a broken down mental hospital. Recorded live to Facebook by Hammy TV. This creepy video takes you on a tour through the extreme ward of Medfield State Hospital. Developed over the turn of the 20th century, the 58-building complex held a max of 2,200 patients and was a filming location for such films as Shutter Island and The Box. According to Wikipedia, trespassing between dark and sunrise is strictly forbidden, so these boys aren't exactly following the law. One especially creepy fact about this asylum is that it has 841 grave sites, all of which are numbered instead of named. In fact, Boy Scouts in the area made it their Eagle Scout service project to find the correct names of all buried and their dates of passings. If that wasn't creepy enough, watch what happens during this tour of evil. The crew is heading to the 3rd floor, where there were allegedly a few passings. As they're trying to decide how to get up the very broken stairs, the camera pans the upper floor. Keep your eye on the hallway. A shadow person very clearly crosses the threshold, a shadow that apparently the crew didn't see in reality, as they have no reaction to it whatsoever. I'm sure when they watched this video in playback they did. I'm not sure if anyone noticed until it was pointed out in the Facebook comments, but now that it's been spotted, I think this paranormal sighting is terrifying.
Rocking chairs moving on tune.
This YouTuber's house is so haunted. His possessions act possessed even when brought outside. Take this rocking chair for example, which he records moving on its own.
Not really that windy.
When he looks around at 1 minute and 20 seconds, you can see the flowers and trees are still. Nothing is blowing in the wind because there is no wind. Yet he makes a request to move the chair again. The ghost tilts the chair forward one time to confirm that yes, it is in fact there and fully aware.
Can you rock it some more? Got a visitor.
The security camera footage taken from inside a Reddit user's home doesn't seem to be anything unusual, that is, not at first, although the house looks as peaceful and as quiet as can be. In just a matter of seconds, something both eerily mysterious and also quite creepy occurs that the original uploader cannot explain. So I think this is, for starters, what they're talking about. It doesn't exactly look like an orb, but it's kind of got like a trail that it's leaving behind. What the heck is that? That is so weird. It's just sort of leaving behind a trail of itself. You kind of just see it's like it's the same shape, just sort of over and over again, leaving a trail behind it as it flies across the screen. And then at the very end just sort of completely drops to the ground. Even though this kind of video could probably be described as a little more unsettling than straight up scary, it is definitely not the kind of footage you would want to find on your security camera upon waking up and reviewing whatever was filmed while you were asleep. The strange floating white object almost looks like it could be some sort of spinning battery-powered toy, but I feel like if that were the case, the parents would ask their kid if it was their toy and the mystery would be solved. But since the uploader is still baffled by the footage, I think it's safe to say that it was not a toy. Whatever it is remains a mystery.
Supposedly, a little girl saw 2 ghosts. Looks like a creepy little house. They say it's really haunted.
A team of ghost hunters investigate recent paranormal activity at the Craig house where a ghost sighting has left a little girl really creeped out. Her mother suspects the house is haunted.
So what do you think it is? Do you think it's...
Probably ghost.
The Craig family was not surprised when their daughter had a ghost sighting, because they've all experienced paranormal activity too. Weird things like the dial on their radio moving on its own, unexplainable noises in the basement, and scary voices whispering hello. But this time the paranormal activity has gone too far by scaring their innocent daughter, and so the ghost hunters are called to investigate. They set up paranormal equipment in the haunted basement to see what kind of supernatural evidence they can capture on video. When nothing is caught on tape, the ghost hunters begin to doubt anything paranormal is down here, and so they challenge the ghost to reveal itself on camera.
Make something move off these shelves. You little...
No objects fall off the shelf, but apparently 3 minutes later a mysterious EVP is caught on camera when the ghost hunters are exploring the entrance to a room under the stairs. Keep Keep in mind their paranormal equipment has been dormant for 25 minutes until they come across this hidden room, which appears to be empty, and when they open it, all of their equipment mysteriously turns off and needs to be restarted. So I think they've let out something paranormal. As ghost hunters, it is their job to replicate the results so as to provide the best paranormal evidence possible, which in this case means standing outside of the small space and taunting the ghost some more.
Bring it to me. I'm going inside this little room. Demonic, heaven or bring it to me. Let's see it. They said.
A strong and steady EVP does not stop until they take the batteries out, which I think were probably being drained fast. Judging from the weird sounds it makes, the ghost hunting equipment is being pushed past its limits and struggles to keep up with the paranormal energy surrounding it. Later, their EVP session takes them inside the closet of the girl's basement playroom, where she had a ghost sighting. He calls the ghost a coward for not properly showing itself, and
Coward is what you are.
if you look behind him, an object seemingly moves on its own, or maybe he hooks it with his finger. It's kind of hard to say.
Did you not see it move by itself?
Yeah, but it's gotta be better than that. I gotta see it move by itself.
You still don't believe?
Not really.
Either way, this is probably one of the few videos I've ever seen where the ghost hunters argue about whether this scary moment is paranormal or fake, so let's help them figure it out. I think it was probably real because earlier, he did at some point ask the ghost to move an object to prove it was real. A large, lonesome mansion seems like the perfect place for a channel called Abandoned World Explorer to do its thing, but they seem to miss the questionable red stain seen here at the 8-minute and 11-second mark as they tentatively test the floor to make sure they don't fall through. Most of the house looks run down, but they come across a creepy entrance that you will have to crouch down to get into. The passageway goes on for 3 full minutes until they find an even more foreboding staircase descending deeper. It looks like the steps could break away or something could reach out from below. The very bottom floor feels extremely off and wrong. He's poking around when something grabs his attention from behind.
Hello?
This odd area of the house personally gives me the feeling that someone was kept here away from the rest of the family, though I don't know why. He understandably leaves before he gets a chance to investigate what was possibly down there with him. The homunculus is rumored to be an artificial type of creature that was first discovered sometime during the medieval ages by the way of alchemy. The recipe for this legend has since been lost, but some YouTubers have claimed to have rediscovered a way after doing some tinkering in their kitchen. The process used to create a homunculus is kind of gross. You can look it up if you want, but all I will say is that it involves fertilizing a chicken egg using a syringe. Next, you seal the egg off in a plastic container and keep it warm by wrapping it up in a cloth. For some reason, you also have to keep the area very dark. Perhaps this has something to do with witchcraft. No one can touch or disturb the egg in the slightest. You can't even look at it. If you do, you will kill the homunculus before it can hatch. After enough time has passed, about 10 days or so, you remove the egg from its container. The egg appears to have developed some sort of infection, but this could also be some normal part of the process. The YouTuber cracks open the disgusting egg, and this is what he finds laying inside.
Вот он наглядно виден, но это существо, конечно же, не может обладать какой-то высокоразвитой формой интеллекта. В лучшем случае это что-то на уровне амебы. Или там, может быть, медузы.
This tiny creature has no discernible features except for some long tendrils attached to a shriveled up central body. It looks like a chewed up white piece of gum, except it moves. Apparently, they are no smarter than a jellyfish. Maybe the ones from medieval times were more advanced. There's videos out there that tries to prove the homunculus experiment is fake, but then again, maybe they didn't do it right. Maybe they didn't wait long enough or else made some noise. The process is reportedly very delicate and can take at least a couple tries to master. Exploration Unknown is a Knoxville-based urban exploration channel run by a man named John Turner. First appearing on YouTube in 2016, he dedicates his time to venturing into creepy abandoned locations, from derelict home to former orphanages and asylums. His choice of location will often have a gruesome true story behind them, including the takings of life and other horrible events. Back in November 2017, John, along with friends James and Tim, returned to the abandoned Glendale orphanage they previously explored. This time their goal was to conduct the infamous 3 a.m. challenge. In short, 3 a.m. is considered the witching hour, the perfect time for hunting ghosts. Almost right off the bat at the video start, John and the others have split up when a wooden board is seen falling on its own from behind a doorway. John goes to investigate, and much to his shock and slight bemusement, it turns out it was just James playing a joke on them. This appears to be in James's nature, as he does so again when he slams a metal door shut, scaring John so badly he accidentally stops recording. Jokes aside, Tim soon begins to feel lightheaded after the trio go to the second floor, and therefore decides to head outside for some air. Meanwhile, James and John continue to investigate the second floor, finding the normal things you would expect in an abandoned building: graffiti, specks of dust, etc. When they descend the stairs back to the first floor, they are shocked to find Tim collapsed on the floor, out cold.
Down in the basement. I hope I got reception down there.
Tim? Dude, you okay? Tim? Tim, dude. Tim.
Bro, what are you doing?
You okay, man?
Thankfully, they were able to wake him, although he is clearly dazed and groggy. The reaction from John and James are of genuine concern and confusion, and Tim appears to be really out of it with a pale complexion. Deciding Tim's safety is more important, James and John help their fallen friend back outside and back to the car. Clearly shaken by the incident, John and James decide not to venture into the basement, and instead, footage of their previous visit is shown. It is unknown what exactly happened, and no other paranormal activity can be seen in the footage, so it is undetermined if Tim was the victim of some sort of attachment. He does show the common signs of paranormal attachment, which often manifest as feeling lightheaded and nauseated, and can even lead to passing out. What could also be possible is Tim came under the effects of harmful dust in the building. Considering the age and state of the orphanage, it is possible Tim became overwhelmed by particles such as asbestos, a once common insulation that can cause damage to the lungs if breathed in. The fact that John and James were unaffected does cast some doubt on this theory, although it is still completely possible. Regardless, finding your friend unconscious on the floor of such an eerie location is certain to scare anyone. Thankfully, Tim was okay and apparently started feeling a bit better after resting by the car. With that said, the three decided to call it a night and left the location. John clarified in the video description and comments Tim was okay and recovered, as well as thanking those who expressed concern for his condition. On February 21st, 2021, John uploaded a director's cut of the original video, acting as a sort of commentary. John discusses his personal experience that night. He stated he felt concerned about Tim when he said he wasn't feeling good, and expressed regret for not going with Tim to make sure he was alright. He also said he has received messages from people who had lived there during its operation, saying they actually had good experiences while residing there. They considered it a home with the staff taking good care of them. Comparing it to places such as Leckworth Village, it is a relief to hear good experiences about an orphanage, as they can be notorious for negativity, to put it mildly. When discussing the moment he and James found Tim, he said it looked as if he broke his leg. It is at this point John himself discusses a possible third explanation for Tim's condition. According to John, Tim had been up almost 30 hours at this point and had actually worked a full shift of work prior to joining the others. However, he also expresses Tim is sensitive to locations, including a time he collapsed at Skinwalker Ranch. This gives further support something had attached to him, but considering the positive remarks from former residents, it's hard to say what attached. It's good to know Tim turned out okay in the end, as these investigations can cause serious consequences. The next time you gaze up into the serene night sky, you might experience a feeling of panic instead of peace. Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by After Performance 2. The Redditor explains that these strange lights were seen in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina last year on July 19th. The lights were grouped in threes, and according to the Redditor, some disappeared before she could capture them on video. The video shows a trio of lights floating overhead in the sky, and a moment later, another trio closer to the horizon off in the distance. The sets of lights don't float in strict formation, but seem to each be wavering at their own pace. They then flicker and disappear. Redditor Professional Truck 3 suggests that these were paper lanterns lit and then launched from the beach, but the 70s Kids negates that, saying if these were lanterns, they'd drift apart. While some say the wind is obviously taking the lanterns in the same direction, After Performance 2 theorizes that they're all going to the same destination. Another Redditor, Buster Blevins, chimes in proposing that this is not necessarily a unique occurrence. He wrote, "Last Friday, a bunch of people saw something very similar to this in northern Wisconsin. The lights would appear in groups of 3, and it was as if there was a pattern that looked like the light was traveling in a circle around something." Any other theories as to what these strange lights could be? A person is making a video in the woods about their fort when they catch something bizarre that leaves them screaming in horror as they run away.
Oh!
An unknown creature charges at them on all fours. At 45 seconds, you can see its arms are as long as its legs. In other words, not proportionate to a human at all. This video, taken in Texas, looks like it could be one of the many rake sightings that have recently been popping up again across the world. Most rake sightings show the creature screeching from afar. If that is what's captured here, then this video shows how quiet it can be for the element of surprise. While visiting an abandoned mental hospital in Allentown, Pennsylvania, Spirit Realm Investigations captured what they believe is an apparition on camera. Watch the bottom right window followed by the middle windows. Did you see that? Something seems to peek out and then shift between these two windows. To me, the shape in the bottom right window is convincing. It looks like a figure peeking out and then vanishing, but I think that could just be a reflection of light as the camera moves. It does seem to move in pace with the camera's movement, but the first one doesn't. That's for sure a legit apparition peering out at us. Are we being possessed by shadowy forces without even knowing it? Posted on Blah Blah's channel in January of 2022. This scary video is trending in the Arabic-speaking YouTube community. The footage shows a woman walking a dirt path along a hillside overlooking a city. She is carrying a bag and she's alone. As the cameraman follows a short way behind, a mysterious and barely visible dark figure comes toward the woman on the path. The shadow figure runs right at the woman, but she doesn't notice it and continues on her way. Did the spirit possess her? Well, this captured our imaginations. As it turns out, after doing some research, I found the video is VFX produced by YouTuber Dark 3. Still, the image will prompt you to look over your shoulder the next time you think you're alone. You never know what's behind you until it's too late. A TikToker named Prince of Stitches is about to go to sleep when this late night visitor takes over his spot. Moments before he lies down, the floating white smear somewhat resembles the arm and shoulder of someone sleeping on their side, perhaps someone who once passed away in this very same spot, or it could just be how the light from this mounted lamp is hitting the camera. There's a somewhat similar looking effect happening next to the lamp, shown here. Light artifacts aside, that still doesn't explain how the covers pulsate likely like the shallow breathing of someone deep asleep. Either he put something under the sheets to make them do that, exactly what I don't know, or it's time to check out and find a non-haunted hotel that won't make you room with a ghost. Isaiah Harris published his sewer exploration in March of 2018, describing it as the utter most scariest video that I've ever recorded yet. He went on to say, "I think it was mostly because of the position I was in and how much ghostly things I heard and seen." The first clip shows Harris along with two young accomplices exploring the underground sewer during the daytime. They make their way along a tunnel to an area with pooled water, which has frozen over with ice. In a second video of the sewer exploration, Harris, joined this time by his brother and sister-in-law, shows how they entered the sewer by lifting up a big iron storm grate and crawling under. The tunnel is filled with graffiti, and they jump down from this initial tunnel to a broader area. A ladder is also positioned there, suggesting that this area is a regular stomping ground for exploration. They continue on, and Harris explains to his crew that there will soon be a ditch with shin-deep water, and there may be a den beyond, as he found evidence of people living there once before. The ditch area is filled with ice and a layer of snow over top. Harris jumps down, breaking through the ice. The other two decide to turn back because they think they've heard something in the tunnel, but that's when Harris looks deep into the tunnel beyond and decides that he too wants to hightail it out of there after he claims to have seen something down there. They start to make their way back, but pause when they hear a growling sound. Harris also notes that there's a handprint on the wall as they arrive at the exit ladder. They also hear tapping sounds coming from within the tunnel. They manage to make it out of the tunnel without incident, but one does wonder whether the creature within was human or monster. YouTuber named Dylan James TV hears a low metallic humming noise and starts recording. Everything from religious warnings to alien technology has been suggested as possible explanations. I'm not sure what it is, but I will say that this definitely sounds like some sort of mysterious buzzing noise. Tell me if you think this sounds like a machine or something else. Randy films his cat taking a midday snooze when something creepy moves overhead. I would say this is just a particle of dust, except the cat sees it too and bolts upstairs like it's one of the scariest moments it's ever had in all of its 9 lives. Something makes the cat open its eyes. It senses something is wrong. Then an apparent ghost orb floats by, and suddenly the cat no longer wants to be in the same room anymore. Skeptics, I'm sure, will be quick to point out that the cat could have been startled by the camera. That's a good point, except cats usually don't run in fear from their owner. This cat seems to have felt the presence of something, a feline sixth sense of sorts, and it doesn't stick around. Bogdan Riva of a Russian YouTube channel called Lost World has become obsessed with exploring an abandoned haunted apartment building. Paranormal activity here is hard to catch for a person, so he sets up cameras to see what scary stuff is caught on video. While he's in his car, one of his cameras picks up footsteps in a room with a creepy doll. Whether this doll is related to the paranormal activity is unknown, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was a correlation between the two, because just look at the scary thing.
Еще прошло около 2 часов, и так ничего и не происходит, ничего необычного. Единственное, какие-то непонятные шумы, какие-то непонятные звуки.
He returns to the house and, not knowing what he's caught on tape, declares this paranormal investigation to be a failure.
Происходит, мне кажется, просто либо ветер, просто либо...
He goes into the next room only to find a large, heavy shelf has been thrown to the ground by an angry poltergeist. The sight fills him with dread, but it isn't until a few seconds later that he sees something over his shoulder that makes him run with fear. I can't say I see anything here at 18 minutes, and maybe he doesn't either. It could have been a bad feeling more than anything that made him run. All I know is that I agree this house is beyond creepy, and he should get out of there. Anything that throws a shelf could easily do the same to him. A YouTuber named Blake Smith's Gaming Blitz lives alone, and often hears wearing sobs in his basement. He says that he is way too strapped for cash to afford a Bluetooth speaker, and that this is real. Take a listen for yourself. At 57 seconds into the video, the spirit seems to respond to his voice.
Hello? Hello?
He pokes around the corner, and sitting in the far corner of the room is a tiny entity made of light that kind of resembles a small child. I took a screenshot to better illustrate what I'm saying. The shape looks roughly symmetrical, and the head is looking directly at the camera. A YouTube channel called Jaeger Expective is partying at a rental home. They soon suspect is haunted after running some experiments. According to them, these motion-activated lights don't turn on unless someone is in the room, yet the lights come on here when the room is empty.
Isn't that censored?
I think the lights might turn on whenever the door opens though, because when you watch it again, that's pretty much exactly what happens. So they could be wrong about the lights, but next they hear a faint sound from far away. It sounds like one of those really old-fashioned phones that used to have an actual bell on top.
Everybody has their phones, right?
Everyone decides to talk about it again in the morning, and they go to bed, or at least they try. Strange sounds continue throughout the night, stuff that's hard to catch on camera, like a single footstep and nothing else. In the morning, they also have a bad feeling and feel what they describe as a chilly vibe permeating every room. Jaeger does a quick recording of every room in the house and picks up this figure, which I think could just be his reflection in a mirror, or maybe not. When walking alone in the wilderness, you generally don't want to run into anyone at all, let alone someone perched in a place you'd least expect them. That's exactly what happened to this individual, whose footage was posted to YouTube in August of 2014. The person appears to be walking in a rather remote forested area. Ahead stands a blocked stone tunnel, and sitting atop the concrete is someone dressed in a white shirt facing the tunnel's interior. What are they doing there, and why? Reaching this depth of the forest, or that tunnel itself, are quite difficult tasks. The cameraman doesn't wait to find out, and probably rightly so. He backs away slowly, before turning around and moving quickly out of there. Some locals in the comments insist to never approach that area, saying this is really serious, never go. I gotta agree, better safe than sorry. When 4 teens disappeared in August of 2008 in Melbourne, Australia, a local search party discovered this found footage in November of the same year, near an abandoned hospital. Shortly after, it apparently began making rounds on Australian news outlets. At the start of the video, the boys appear to be cruising down a highway, then further down a dirt road. At one point they exit the vehicle, and they think they hear a sound coming from the darkness.
In that area, there's sounds coming.
They approach a gate with a sign that says private property, no trespassing. They ignore it. They find a hole in the fence and decide to enter anyway. As they're walking along in the dark, they come across a red substance splattered on the ground. Regardless, they continue on, and that's where the footage ends. A walk into the darkness. They were never seen or heard from again. If you have any info on their whereabouts, please visit missingpersons.gov.au. Would you get on a small wooden boat in a murky pond full of alligators? YouTube channel The Omar Gosh Vlogs dives right in this scary video. Can you see the gator in the water, drifting toward them? You might think these folks landed in gator territory by accident, but it looks like this is actually something people paid to do.
Savannah looks hungry, don't you guys think?
The gators look like they could chomp them at any moment. In fact, the group is sandwiched in between them.
Look at these guys here. They so crazy to get followed by an alligator.
Break it in half, George. Break it in half.
Oh my gosh.
What do you think? Would you pay money to be gator bait? Me neither. Think you know the volatility of a poltergeist? Think again. Published by C's Crazy Crossroads, the YouTuber writes, "A rock comes off of the piano towards me. Absolutely insane capture. It is at the 2:47 mark. Apparently, this YouTuber hadn't caught the absolutely creepy capture until his viewers pointed it out to him after watching his original video, which is certainly surprising, as the paranormal behavior is quite obvious and alarming. As he walks through an abandoned church at night, a rock clearly comes flying at him from a nearby piano. You can see the rock actually fling towards him and ricochet off something behind him. Who or what threw this rock at Crazy Crossroads? I'd wager it was something or someone straight out of a nightmare." Two friends think they may have recorded the presence of a spirit when they entered a graveyard late at night. Here's their evidence. Look at the back row of tombstones on the right and focus on the one that's closest to the road.
I only see what's in front of us. We'll turn that shit off.
An intense source of light plays over the gravestone. It could be a reflection of their headlights bouncing off some glass, but something seems a little off about the angle. And if this gravestone was not made of glass, then there's absolutely no explanation for this video. Let me know if you think this is real, or if they got fooled by their own car.
I only see what's in front of us. We'll turn that shit off.
For months now, a YouTuber named Bogue731 has been receiving unwanted attention from a man who rides the same train as him every day. According to Bogue731, this person would repeatedly attempt to touch and otherwise harass him while riding on the train. He has tried to tell him to stop in the past.
I don't want to be friends. There's nothing you can do to convince me. But why? Because you make me uncomfortable.
But this man will not take the hint. One day, Bogue731 turns around, drops the politeness, and makes himself abundantly clear.
Stop following me. Sit down and stop following me.
Eventually, a superintendent has to step in and take charge of the situation before it gets any worse.
Can you get him to stop following me, please?
Okay, somebody to get off train and somebody to stay on. Why are you following him?
I don't know.
She separates the two of them and leads Bogue to a different train cart so he can finish what's left of his ride in peace. Bogue is only there for a few seconds when he looks over and sees none other than his not-so-secret admirer staring him right in the face. Apparently, nothing he can say or do is going to convince this man to leave him alone anytime soon. A remote shanty house in the middle of nowhere. It's gotta be abandoned, right? Posted to r/ghosts by Livid Excuse 1640. This video reminds every paranormal explorer to be always on their guard. The Redditor is driving down a dirt road at night in what appears to be the boonies with no lights around apart from a faint, distant glow, and yet in the middle of nowhere they come upon a rundown white house. It's dark and clearly abandoned, or so you think, as the Redditor drives slowly past, shining a flashlight onto the house. He spotlights its empty and broken windows, nothing else, that is, until he zooms in on a center window. Here appears a white hooded figure without discernible features. The realization of what they're seeing scares them enough to drop their camera and drive away, while many Redditors in the comments believe the figure is a squatter rather than a ghost. This sighting at an assumedly abandoned house would be unsettling regardless. The Redditor writes in the comments, "I've been in the house once and it's like the people living there just up and left clothes in closets, dishes in the sink, toys on the floor. It was wild. I got halfway down the hallway and something that felt like pure evil came over me and I ran back out." He also shares some still photos with varying exposures that he took from the clip. What do you see in the Rorschach ink blot? This is only a test. After experiencing paranormal activity in her home, Beth Ann Thorson bought some Nest cameras. Then she captured these strange flashes, which she shared on Facebook. The flashes are seen again in a second video. Some in the comments suggest they could be flashing in Morse code, but after checking with a military friend of the family, the couple nixed that theory. Beth Ann also checked her phone's providers, potential faults, and updates, but nothing explains why the flashing occurred, and it's particularly alarming that it happened on each phone individually. Many in the comments believe the spirits are trying to communicate with them. Others think they're just letting them know they're there. Well, my first thought is that it could be an Amber Alert, which would impact all phones in the area. I agree that it may be some form of communication from the beyond through the phone's energy. Whatever it is, it's highly unsettling. Working from home has its perks, but this might deter some. Posted to the very spooky video subreddit by External Tangents, this Redditor was home on a gloomy day when he heard some strange noises. At his door, the noise sounds like distant clicking. He opens his hallway door to investigate. Out in the hallway, you can hear whining and slamming. It sounds like it's coming from upstairs. Then as he looks up to find an outside door open, it clanks loudly. He's found the culprit. At the top of the stairs, the exit door to the roof is open. Heading out onto the roof, he finds no one there. Although the mystery is solved, some think it's odd that the exit alarm isn't blaring. They also find the sounds and visuals quite spooky. If you heard this while you were alone in your apartment, would you have the nerve to investigate? I'd be looking for a new place to live. The Queensland Police Service in Australia released this seriously scary video on their Facebook page. Wrapped firmly around this poor person's leg is the last thing anyone wants, a large snake. They seem to be employing some kind of tickling strategy that I doubt is going to make it relax. Wiggling my fingers as fast as possible around a snake seems like a terrible move, but I'm also no snake expert. I am absolutely amazed at how calm the snake remains as the officer puts her hands close to its head and unwraps it from this leg. I was assuming it was domesticated until the officer was later told it was wild. Someone tell me what kind of snake this was and why it didn't seem to care about being handled for the first time. Maybe it was simply looking for a warm spot to coil up for the night, or maybe it was someone else's escaped pet on the loose. The demon that possessed this girl may have been exorcised, but it never left this place. YouTube channel Chamos investigates this abandoned house in which a girl underwent her exorcism. This is what happened. First, the presentation.
Barulho? Tem alguma coisa aí, velho? Cara, tem alguém aí, Opa! Isso, se afasta, se afasta. Que isso? Oi, meu Deus! Olha isso! Olha isso, cara! O boneco, velho!
Why is the demon presenting this terrifying toy doll? It also moves a chair.
Meu Deus, cara! Deixa eu ali, velho.
A moment later, the baby crib is gone.
Cara do céu!
Things keep moving.
Cara, e essa menina de novo? Essa menina de novo, cara. Olha isso. Meu Deus, cara.
Notice the sound, you'll soon see what it is.
Olha só, cara. Olha só o poder desse demônio, velho. Oh, meu Deus do céu, velho. Tá maluco, velho. Sai daí, velho. Sai daí, cara. Olha aí, velho. Tá maluco, cara?
Later, as they're getting a reading on their K2, something even creepier unfolds.
Que é aquilo lá? Ah, cara. Que isso? Olha aí, cara. Olha isso, cara. Meu Deus do céu, velho. Olha isso. Que isso, velho? Vocês estão vendo isso? Vocês estão vendo isso, cara? Ah, meu Deus do céu, velho. Meu Deus, cara. Cara do céu, velho.
Was that doll floating, descending, or is it ascending to new heights? No matter what the answer is, I'd be getting the heck out of this place ASAP. Bloopers are more than just laughs. Published in October of 2012, What Is That 09 writes, I was recording my brother for his school project and he was looking back through the bloopers. And then he noticed this thing. As the boy practices his speech, a dog on the couch behind him is playing with the blinds. Look closely over the boy's shoulder. A creepy creature appears in the darkness as the blinds open. The creature's bizarre face looks humanoid but somewhat extraterrestrial.
Go. The biome we chose was the taiga border forest, which is located in Russia, northern Canada, and
It's peering in at them. What is this thing? The uploader notes, to where the thing's head was at had to be 5 feet tall because that's how high the window is. Is this creature stalking them? Or is it one of the boy's peers trying to cheat on his school project? Nobody is sure what the US forces are doing in this 2014 video taken from an undisclosed location somewhere in New Mexico apparently. Soldiers kneel down as a blast rips through the air. It looks like it hits nothing at all, but then the edges of the ripple inward to reveal what could be the outline of a giant round invisible creature. Some people are claiming this is simply a drill using new technology we don't know about. Others say that this is not an exercise at all, but rather a real desert battle with a creature. Listen to the noise it makes and tell me if you think this is the sound of a passing fighter jet or the terrifying roar of a real monster.
Dash 3, good hits.
A son who is too young to tell time keeps coming into his parents' room at 3 a.m. to tell them that something is in the room with him. They think it's weird, so they set up cameras all around the house, and sure enough, at 3 a.m. they catch these broad, scary faces that lean in and look directly at the camera. I'm really hoping that this is a mask, but without a closer video, we will never know for sure. A YouTube channel called Dark Haunts Videos travels to the famous haunted train tracks in San Antonio, Texas, where a school bus full of children were said to have lost their lives. The road looks like it's on a small hill here, according to him. Do you agree?
Okay. But it looks like it's uphill. Cars are neutral and off. We are slowly moving.
If the local legend is true, ghost children are pushing them up a road and straight past the very same tracks that they themselves were not able to cross over alive. Somebody needs to measure this road to see if they are really being pushed uphill. If they are, then this is amazing. It is really creepy though how the car stops all by itself within seconds of going over the tracks. Him and 2 of his friends are going to explore a house that is legendarily haunted. According to local lore, this is a place where devil-worshipping members used to perform rituals, and the surrounding area has never been the same since. Beyond this information, all they know is that its general location is somewhere deep in the woods. They follow a trail and eventually come across a large abandoned house in the middle of the night. The 3 of them all get a strange feeling and instantly know that they are in the right spot. The door is open and they bravely march inside. Beyond a room filled with strange scrawlings, they find a dark room that stinks like something rotting. Dolls are hanging by their necks. Just when they are about to leave, they suddenly are approached by something that comes up from behind.
Do you hear that? Oh my God! Go, 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 go! Oh my God! Oh my God!
A strange and unsettling gurgling noise follows them as they run out of the house and into the open night air. Whether this was scripted or legitimate is anyone's guess, only they know for sure, but even still, they may be too shaken to talk about it. TikToker KC Rav is not home alone. This security footage captured something super creepy near the stairway leading upstairs. Watch the dark corner. A large figure appears to peek out from beneath in the darkness. From the TikToker's description of the video, it sounds like the dark corner is another stairway leading down to another level of the home. Let's take a closer look. What is that? It definitely looks like a person to me. Another mysterious aspect of this video is the movement in the reflection to the left. I'm not sure if that's glass or a mirror, but something is moving and flickering past and then disappears. Are these two mysteries related? Whatever is going on here, if that isn't a ghost, it's an intruder. Either way, I think she should leave. A man believes the stairwell in his apartment is haunted by a creature that's not paranormal, but not human. He thinks he sees movement and says this is a still image. The image has gone viral, so I wanted to analyze the video. The video does not look nearly as convincing as the image, which is often the case because it is harder to animate than Photoshop. The figure shows a convincing lack of realistic movement as it dips back into the darkened doorway from where it came. So if you've ever seen this popular picture and were wondering what the accompanying video looked like, now you know. What happens when the music stops? Published by Yoon-Sai-won in May of 2021, this ghost hunter was in such fear for his life that he left all his gear behind. Upon entering this abandoned school, Yoon-Sai-won first encounters a haunting sound coming from downstairs.
소리? 무슨 소리야 이게 자꾸? 들려?
He goes in search of it and seems to at last find it, but there's no one there. Later, he thinks something is stalking him.
걔는 지금 날 따라다녀. 언제 나올지 모르겠어.
And his EMF meter starts going crazy. He sets up some motion detectors, which are also triggered. After a while, even the creepy music box near the exit starts chiming in.
나왔어. 뭐야? 갑자기 왜?
He starts to think many spirits are gathering in the room. As all the devices start to go off at once, fearing for his life, he flees, screaming all the way. Then he gathers enough courage to go back. The music box is still chiming all the way down the spooky hallway. When he arrives back at the room, he's peering inside when something is thrown from another direction.
나라고? 나 아닐 텐데?
It seems his return made the congregated spirits angry. Three friends are driving down some back roads late at night when they've caught something on video that has people questioning what was on the side of the road.
What?
No, they don't say that.
Oh my god, what is that?
It's a dog, isn't it?
Can you hear that growling?
The creature looks at them as they question whether or not it's been hit and needs their help. While it goes deeper into the forest, they feel like they should get out of the car and check to see if it's all right.
God, I'm really scared. Tom, where is it? Is it in the bush?
A deep growling sound coming from the woods keeps them from exploring any closer. They are pretty sure this isn't someone's dog, like they thought, but they aren't sure what to do next. That's when the decision is made for them. Run.
Is it? It sounds really close. Right, get in the car now, Tom.
The comments and likes for this video were split 50-50 between believers and skeptics. I might have thought this was real if I watched it just one time, but upon closer analysis, it's pretty obvious this was somebody in a creature costume on their hands and knees. When you look at their feet at 22 seconds, there are no claws, and you can tell this is a costume that you step into, or at least that's what I think. Tell me what you make of this bizarre encounter caught on a full moon that night. In this house, you'll expect a jump scare around every corner. After experiencing paranormal events in his family home, this man decided to take some video to see if he could capture anything on camera. Let's take the haunted tour. What is happening here? He finds a flower on the stairs. He claims no one in the household knows where it came from. Is this knock a warning, as the YouTuber believes? Well, upstairs in the bedroom, it happens again. something just threw the clothes from the wardrobe. If those knocks were a warning, I'd take the clothes as a clear message. This ghost wants you to leave. What's the creepiest thing that you've found on an urban exploration? I'm betting it's not creepier than what Explore Abandoned Places with Tattoo Tony Alton found in St. Louis. The YouTuber published this in February of 2017, writing, "We found part of a spinal column in the basement of this creepy abandoned house." The YouTuber goes on to say that the entire street is abandoned. No big surprise if it's scary and dangerous. Tattoo Tony says the houses here were built sometime between 1910 and 1916. As he enters the first building, you can see that it's completely tattered and dilapidated. The wallpaper is flaking from the walls. The ground is absolutely covered in debris and filth. There's still furniture left over in some of the upstairs rooms. It looks as though whoever lived in these homes just up and left one day, leaving everything behind. As he walks through the building, you can hear wind whipping through the place, so it's understandable why the ceilings and all the walls are flaking. But it's when Tony heads into the basement that things get really chilling. Here, he comes across part of a spinal column. Some in the comments debate whether it was from an animal or a human. Whatever the species, Tony wrote, it was a little spooky. Urban exploration can have its risks. The question is now, what is the story behind the spinal column? A ghost hunting YouTube channel called Spartan Hunters 2 explores the narrow stone corridors of the old Paulding County Jail in Ohio for any signs of the afterlife. As soon as they turn the corner, they hear something that sends shivers down my spine.
Did you hear that?
What was that?
Wow.
An anguished scream cries out from deep within the jail complex, which I'm sure most of you heard, but did you hear the creepy laughter that follows the scream? Listen really closely and you can make out the faint echoes of laughter bouncing off the walls. It happens right after he says, "Did you hear that?"
Did you hear that?
Was this Chilean quake natural or extraterrestrial made? Published by Paranormal Planet in April of 2014, seconds before a tremor hit a coastal region of Chile, something was spotted in the sky. The short clip captures the Chilean coast. All is calm. As the cameraman scans the landscape, an unidentified aircraft shoots across the sky. A half-speed clip shows the object in more detail. It's tiny and black but has no other discernible features. It's simply moving too fast. After it passes, the earth immediately begins to shake. A girl hanging onto the fence sways back and forth, and the cameraman appears to fall to the ground. Many in the comments don't think this was an unidentified flying object, and some don't even think it was a quake. Mary Coday suggests it was a Millie jet and it made a sonic boom or broke a sound barrier. Others think it was a bird. Is this real? Or is it all completely staged? We're left with more questions than answers with this one. Do you believe in poltergeists? What if you're confronted with video proof? YouTuber Ethan N. Thurrock posted poltergeist activity happening in his office across 3 videos. In the first video, the office door closes on its own. Some paper towel moves, along with a computer cable followed by a tape dispenser on the desk. Then the computer monitor starts to blink on and off. The timestamp reads 6/9/2015. In the second video in the same room, a toy car moves across the desk to the very edge. The timestamp reads 6/10/2015. It's hard to tell if the last video is in the same room, as it's from a different camera and perspective, but it's filming while someone is in the office. As she's working on her computer, her coffee mug suddenly moves abruptly, spilling some coffee on her desk right next to her electronics. She jumps up to move everything out of the way. If you weren't a believer before, you'd be hard to explain this series of events. While staying at a hotel room in Ireland, Roisin O'Brien grabs her dad to show him something bizarre. A ghost is moving a cup on its own, she tells him. Of course, nothing happens and she looks like a total liar until suddenly...
gosh. That's freaky.
The cup moves all by itself to the edge of the glass shelf and then stops. There is no string around it that I can see, and besides, she is holding her phone and her dad is sitting on the bed clear across the room with his back turned, so no one was messing with it. She resets it, and as soon as she complains that it takes the ghost a long time, the cup moves instantly.
Like it's taken ages for it to go, you see.
So let's just say there was string tied around the cup. Her father is now standing to the right of her, so if it was him, then the cup should pull to the right in his direction. Instead, it moves straight ahead and stops exactly on the edge of the shelf, same as before. The shelf is level and there is no moisture around the rim to make it slide like that. This is glass on glass, you can hear the friction.
Ages for it to go, you see.
She's right. The cup is moving on its own, maybe from a ghost. Sometimes those abandoned buildings that some urban explorers enter are not entirely abandoned. In fact, in some cases, they're the stomping grounds for the occult. Published to YouTube by Lego Papa TV in March of 2020. Papa was likely not expecting to be chased down by a hooded stranger performing a ritual in a house where lives have been taken, but that's exactly what happened. He writes, "This is probably the scariest moment of my life I ever had. When moments like this happens, out of nowhere you put yourself in a situation that your mind goes blank." Papa explores the dark dwelling, which certainly gives off an aura that something terrible happened here. The house is utterly destroyed, littered with garbage, ransacked, covered with graffiti, and generally torn apart. As many in the comments point out, there were wet footprints at the doorstep, which may indicate that somebody recently entered the house, or was in fact there, or was still in fact there at the same time. And soon Papa discovers he is not alone. As he wanders throughout the house, he hears noises.
I know she stepped upstairs. Hello, anybody here?
He even sees a flashlight as someone searches for him while he hides out in a bathroom. For some reason, despite all this, he continues exploring the house, ending up in the basement, but when he hears distinctive footsteps overhead, he hightails it out of there. Likely because it dawns on him that if he was to remain in the basement, he'd be completely trapped. It seems he escaped just in time. As he runs off into the woods, he glances back to capture a hooded person on camera, standing on the porch steps. If he had left a minute later, who knows what might have happened. Is that a hula hoop? Posted to TikTok by Camilo Rodriguez, a dark ring looks like it's burnt into the sky above. The mysterious video was captured in Colombia on March 6, 2022. After searching for some explanation, I couldn't find any for this specific ring, but I have found that it's not unique. One appeared over Pakistan in 2020 and is thought to have been caused by a small combustion blast through a circular structure. Again, one in Britain in 2014. This was traced back to a fireworks test, and finally over Chicago in 2012, this one traced to the rupture of an electrical transformer. So while this may look like an ominous vortex to misery, I guess it's actually an ominous vortex of mystery. At a once bustling market turned ghost town in China, this lone figure was captured on camera. Published by Paranormal Planet in February of 2020, the video shows a mysterious fog shadow moving into view. As Chinese lanterns hang all around, swaying with the wind, the figure moves across the walkway before it disappears from sight. The uploader writes, "This footage was spotted by the person responsible for monitoring the street cameras. Is this a ghost? Or has the Grim Reaper come for us all?" Though Though there are plenty of strange noises caught on tape, this one is as scary as it is mysterious. Published by Jimmy Dillard in June of 2013, Dillard left his camera in the forest to capture deer. Instead, he captured some strange screaming, grunting, and rocks being thrown at his camera. While Dillard thought it might just be children playing around or a homeless man disturbing the forest, we'll never know the truth because the source of the sound and disturbance never appeared on camera. In watching the video, you can hear a bellow echo throughout the wilderness, almost Tarzan-like in nature. Later in the video, you hear tree branches breaking. Then one of the most chilling noises is that of a growl or a bark. The thing sounds human, but not quite. You can hear whatever it is clamber through the leaves and branches. The whole video is quite unsettling, almost more upsetting, because you can't see the source of the sound. Although from the sounds of it, the creature must be very near. You expect it to jump out at you at any moment. I've been hiking and camping since I was little, and I've heard just about every animal in Georgia, but I've never heard anything like this, Dillard wrote. One thing to keep in mind is that elk and moose don't inhabit this region, but could it be some other animal? Which leaves us to wonder, what in the world is residing in this forest? This worrisome video I'm about to show you was posted on March 18th of 2017 by a person who had been teetering on the edge of self-destruction for years.
Things are much worse this time. Something seems to be after me. I don't know what else to say. Except goodbye.
You'll never guess what he does next, but first let me tell you what he has been through. His psychological torment would begin in early 2015, approximately 2 years before his final goodbye. That was when someone began knocking at his door almost every night for days. He lives all alone and is a very private person, so introverted in fact that we never learn his name. For him to have a visitor is not normal, let alone in the middle of the night. The knocks were annoying at first, but he figured it would stop if he ignored it. But when that didn't work, he decided to start documenting everything early on, in case he needed to take it to the police or something later. He also decided to confront it and defend himself if need be. This incident, taken on February 12, 2015, starts with 2 knocks that are so soft, it would be easy to think you're imagining them. But after 3 weeks of harassment, he is frazzled and hears every noise, so he springs to action ready to meet force with force, but there's just one problem. Nothing is ever there to confront. Listen closely to this part, because I hear chatter after he locks up. He installs a second camera outside the very next night on February 13th, 2015, Friday the 13th to be exact. Sure enough, it starts again. He opens the door and no one's there. It's not 2 different videos put together either, because his movements in both videos sync perfectly, like at 1 minute and 15 seconds when he smooths his hair. Even if he practiced this routine, it still wouldn't be this dead on. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention that this happens at 3 a.m. every night. Anyone would want to move and he absolutely did, but his money situation meant he couldn't either continue to endure this or go homeless in the middle of the winter. Eventually, he decides to go outside before 3 a.m. and see if he can catch whatever or whoever is doing this on video. He doesn't see them, but he does find footprints leading away from his house into the woods. The footprint is separated in 2 halves, more like a hoof print than a foot, yet 2 legs instead of 4. Some people have said this could be a demon or even a cryptid. I don't know about all of that, but I know that he really did go out at 3 a.m. and I know this because I hear a train throughout the video. Oddly enough, this late night train is heard in all of his videos, and I think could be closely related. Something bad must have happened on the nearby tracks. By August 28th, whatever had left those footprints was looking for other ways inside both day and night. No longer was it confined to 3 a.m. Tell me if this is an animal or something way worse. I didn't hear any claws tapping. This was the sound of somebody fast. A raccoon or a possum would be doing this at nighttime. This was something big in the middle of the day, like a restless spirit. So after years of experiencing this and other similar encounters, perhaps you'll better understand why, after saying goodbye in March of 2017, he simply decided to open up the door and stop.
Goodbye.
Whatever that was, it sounded far from being a person. Over 2 years later, this mysterious final video was uploaded on January 1st, 2019. Those sound like church bells. Maybe this is a clip taken from a funeral. Could it be his? And whoever typed these replies doesn't act like him at all. Who's there? Redditor Sal26 Serrano says remodeling was being done in this vacant apartment complex of 4, and the owner of the property was downstairs with him at the time. So who is making this noise? Did you hear it? There's definitely someone there, but whether they're supposed to be there or not is the next question. My guess would be this place has squatters. Oftentimes we see movements out of the corner of our eye and we think we're imagining things. What if we aren't? Posted to the Ghosts subreddit by Kid Blast Double. This clip got Redditors up in arms. The video shows someone entering their backyard with their dog, but check out the fence beyond. A shadow figure can clearly be seen fleeting across the yard. It arrives behind the tree and doesn't move beyond. Apart from slightly peeking from around the tree, which can be seen on the close-up of the clip. The top comment was from Redditor Dads for Sons, who said he'd watched the clip on repeat 1,000,000 times, and his first reaction was, "Whoa, the slow-mo gives him the chills," he says. In response, Redditor Paul VS88 points out that the OP, Big Pappy Thunder, said, "Honestly didn't think anyone would get it, or that it would somehow get nearly 7,000 upvotes, but here we are. Figured I'd bamboozle maybe 5 people, then take it down for a laugh." Redditors with a sense of humor had a laugh about it. Tactius Kilgore writes, "The shadow people have him and are in control of his Reddit account." There was one oddity in the video that was unedited, however, the thing peeking, but Thunder thinks that it was more likely a light from far away or from the yard behind than the shadow ghost that he'd edited into the footage. Still, this video will likely have you second guessing the next thing you see out of the corner of your eye. If you've ever had an attic, then you know what it's like to hear any kind of sound emanating from above. Absolutely freaking terrifying. YouTuber Sean Wells 2001 seems to agree, as he decided to investigate the rattling in his attic, which he says only happens at night. Sean writes, "Steven, my roommate, says it's the wind because I leave my windows cracked at night for fresh air, but not sure if it's the wind." Sean set up his camera in his closet atop a pile of jeans to catch the rattling while he slept. This is what happened. At around 4 a.m., the attic door starts rattling jarringly. It sounds like someone is trying to get out. You can actually see the door move aggressively and repeatedly. A while later it happens again, and Sean notes that you can hear his dog whining in the background. Many in the comments think the source of the noise has got to be paranormal. Others consider that it might be a squatter trying to mess with the homeowners. Though different theories abound, most can agree on one thing: it's not the wind. A British YouTuber named Scouse Mouse only stayed in his home for 3 more days after recording all of these objects in his kitchen moving on their own. I find the 2-liter of Coke to be interesting because the liquid appears to move before the bottle does. Watch what I mean here. Play it in slow motion and you'll see the contents inside moves shortly before the bottle is launched. I don't think that the contents inside would move like that if it was being pulled by a piece of string. According to local legend, a woman's body was found in this cave, and YouTuber Ricky Velasquez is digging deep to find her spirit. The front entrance has been covered up.
Algunas... no sé cómo llamarlo...
But there is a secret passage, and Ricky finds it. Inside, he discovers a person's belongings, including what looks like a bed. Down one dark passage, sparkling lights are captured.
Tu ánima, o demonio que habita este lugar, yo te evoco. Pero si hay algo que pueda hacer por ti, me lo puedes hacer saber. ¿Cuál es tu nombre?
At first, I thought it was a paranormal device, but later you see it's the distant city lights. Beyond the ambient traffic noise, you can hear an echoing voice sob from afar. It sounds like it's coming from the belly of the cave.
Es raro. Pero bueno, me gusta este lugar. Tal vez no haya mucha actividad, pero... actividad nula. Pero este lugar cargadísimo, 100% recomendado si quieres vivir.
Then, as Ricky is talking, he hears this sound.
Y poder apoyar, poder ayudar. Se imaginen, todos tenemos hermanas, todos tenemos madre, abuela, tías. Que esto no es algo que uno se lo desea a nadie.
Here it is again with the volume enhanced. In another moment, he hears a voice again. Is Ricky in the presence of the woman's spirit? I think so. I feel a certain energy here, even through the screen. A YouTuber in Belgium has a ghost in the window. And when I say in the window, I mean literally.
This is my window. Strange. Go away. What is it? Go away. Spirit.
He's not running his finger up the blinds because there's a heavy curtain in front of it. So tell me if you think a ghost is moving objects like he says.
No wind.
Considering this is the only paranormal video he has, and the rest of his channel is about nothing but guitars, I think it could be real. This family is living with paranormal activity, and this short clip, shared by YouTube channel Paranormal Encounters Shorts, is just a taste of what they're experiencing. Listen closely.
What?
What is that?
No, stop. Stop.
Okay, let me get to
Stop. Really?
Oh my god.
One of the crew thinks he knows what it is.
It's silverware.
Alright, my heart just jumped in my chest.
What?
What?
Just wait a second.
Are you recording right now?
Yeah, I am.
Did you get that?
Yeah.
Was it silverware? And if it was, who is clattering it?
What?
What is that?
Whoever is banging around this haunted home sounds dreadfully impatient to me. I think it might be time to get this home blessed. A surprised YouTuber records a tiny bright green mutant ball as it walks across a leaf. The mysterious creature has no eyes or any semblance of a face, as it somehow explores the surface in short, choppy movements. Only at 39 seconds are you able to see a number of tiny legs and a weird cockroach-like body hiding underneath. If you've seen anything like this before, then help me out and say what it is. Here's where things go from strange to bizarre. When they flip it over, the insectile body is mysteriously gone. It's just a piece of moss that closes upon their touch. Finding this strange creature in the woods would creep me out, and I don't think I would touch it with my bare hands like they do at 1 minute and 10 seconds. So until somebody tells me what this strange forest creature is, I'm going to file it under the nope category. Thank you so much for getting me to 50,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 60,000 subscribers next. Thank you.